Welcome back to a new video. So I'm going to spend the first half talking about the workout and the different things that I did, and then the second half talking about a bit of a rant about just kind of lifting stuff in general. So this workout started out with some snatches. I was trying to do some snatch doubles. They didn't go great, but I was generally happy with how snatches went, even though I was missing the second rep at 115 and at 125. Or 122. I didn't try to do a double at 125, but I was able to work up to that weight and hit it for a single. So generally happy with how snatches went. Sometimes doubles go really great and like both reps feel the same, and sometimes when you try that second rep, the bar feels like it just got another 10% of weight on just with how slow it feels like it's moving. But that's, it is what it is. Like I said, I was happy with how snatches went. Clean jerks, those kind of stink. I was hoping to do 1+2s. I really wanted to do 1+2 with 142, but the jerk was just complete trash on that first attempt. I bumped up to 145 and I missed the first attempt at it, and I was able to do it on the second one. I was happy to kind of have the grit to attempt it a couple times and just force myself to be more aggressive and try harder on that last one, which is really the only difference because it's not like my technique was really that much better. Jerks are continuing to be a focus of mine, and the workout that you'll see after this day, you'll see me do a lot of practice at the jerk because I continue to have issues with it, but we'll talk more about that in the next one, about some of the adjustments that I'm going to make, because whenever I make the correct adjustments, my jerks always go great, my clean jerks go great, and then I always just get in a funk where they don't go great, and it's just like I just need to be consistent about it. And I think long term that'll be the best way to get better at jerks, is just to continue to remember the things that worked and just continue to practice those. But it's hard. Jerks are the most difficult out of the three. But after clean jerks, I did some really light front squats, just up to 100 kilograms, and then some really light clean RDLs without a hook grip or anything, or snatch RDLs. And I didn't use straps or hook for those, just to get a little grip work in. That's one of the kind of minor goals I have, is just to do more general grip work type training, just to kind of sprinkle that in during some of my sessions. But the second part of the video that I wanted to talk about, less about the session, like I said, and more about just general lifting stuff, is the idea of the long-term consequences of lifting. I said a comment on the channel with the 273 kilogram deadlift that I had that moved actually really easy. I remember talking about it in the last video that it was, I definitely had more in the tank. And when someone commented about going to the emergency room, or next stop the emergency room after that, which is hilarious because I do so many lifts on that you all see that look like I'm gonna die, or I'm trying really hard to do, or I'm like grinding really hard to get through. Like, of all the lifts that I do, my deadlifts usually don't look that bad because I'm built for them. But like, I looked at that rep and I was like, of all the deadlift reps that I've done, like, that's such a weird one to like, oh yeah, that's the one. It's like, yeah, I could have done 10 kilos more, but yeah, that was the one that was gonna take me out. But I find that funny, but also more so generally when you have people that are concerned about like the long-term consequences of lifting. I think lifting weights in general is a good thing to do. Obviously, like, when you push yourself to a certain point, it becomes somewhat of a negative, or you become more at risk for general injuries and stuff. But I look at it as I kind of get one shot to push my body as hard as I can. When I'm 50 or 60 or 70, I'm not going to be lifting these numbers. I'm not going to have the joint mobility to go into the deepest part of the snatch or clean that I have, or I'm not going to have the ability to train as hard as I do now. I get one shot at this, and that's how I've always looked at it for sports and lifting and stuff. It's like, you don't get do-overs and try-overs, and you don't get another time to be your first attempt or whatever. Like, you just get one shot at all of this stuff, and so why not push yourself as hard as you can? The argument that sometimes given is, what about the long term? When you're older, you're gonna have joint pain, or you're gonna have these issues when you're older. And I look at it, it's like, I'm almost 30 at this point. I haven't died. I haven't had a catastrophic injury, knock on wood, that nothing explodes in my body. But even if something did, the long term wouldn't be that big a deal. Like, if I got hurt in a serious way where I couldn't do snatches or clean jerks, like, I would just do normal squats and pulls, and whatever the injury was, I would just work around it. I'm going to continue to train even if my goals have to change. But when I think about what will happen to my body after all this training when I'm 60 years old or 70? Like, am I going to be wheelchair bound? One, who cares if I'm wheelchair bound if I'm 70? It's not as if I'm not wheelchair bound, which I doubt I would be, but it's not as if I'm going to be in some peak shape and snatching 160 kilograms at that point, because I'll just progress forever. Like, when I'm 70 or 80 or 90 or whatever, it's like my whole body's probably going to be hurting because you're just old. That's what happens when you're old. And so the thought of what's going to happen when you're older, it's like, oh, I already am older. Like, this is where things are going to start to break down in a drastic way. They're going to start happening at some point. I'm hoping against all hope that I'll be able to make it to about 40 of really hard weightlifting training before I have to really kind of refocus and change my goals. I'm hoping to progress till then. That's probably an unrealistic number. I'm probably not going to make it to that point, but why not push that? I only get one chance to have this time, and eventually into my 20s and now 30s to get to being 40 and being training hard. You still see people in those ages training hard, but it's like I set what I think is an aggressive number, but also in some sense a conservative, because you see people, like I said, still training hard after that. But it's like, what else is there to do? Like, not train, not push yourself? Like, what am I going to go to the gym and try to be safe and try to be conservative because I'm worried about how my knees will feel when I'm 76 years old and there's no cartilage left in them because I have terrible arthritis and I have all kinds of autoimmune disorders? Like my dad has rheumatoid arthritis. At any point I could get that's the same as him, and then what would be conservative have been good for, as far as like lifting light and doing all the things that are considered to be like normal healthy things, which aren't necessarily bad, but like just being like ultra conservative and not wanting to push hard in the gym. It's like, well, if I get some sort of like autoimmune disorder like rheumatoid arthritis or something, which is a real possibility, then like what was the point of all that? I'm still gonna have terrible joints. Like it wouldn't matter how well I treated myself, because your body's just gonna be attacking itself. So I kind of look at it as, I'm gonna try to push everything as hard as I can, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I'm already successful as far as I consider myself lifting. Like, I've lifted really good numbers for anyone that's lifting weights, and I just want to see how far I can get it, how far I can push up. Because at the end of the day, what else is there to do? I could hop on a bunch of steroids and push up even further, but like, what's the point of that? Because I'm not going to be doing anything with that. All I'm going to do is that would actually like destroy my body to go on that. But I think one of the biggest things that's allowing me to still train hard and to still like have a normal life, as far as like, I'm not like taking 10,000 milligrams of ibuprofen just to get through the day or anything. Like, I don't have any like crazy things like that I have to do to get through training or whatever. Training without the use of steroids or whatever allows me to kind of know that when I'm pushing myself and things hurt, like, that's the time. Like, you just can't push through it, because that your body's going to have natural limits that it's going to have and you can't get through. But I still want to try to push through those as much as I can, because at the end of the day, it's how much progress you can make in relation to yourself. It's good to see what other people can do and to look at that. I enjoy it, but I don't really care about what other people do. That's why I think I'm able to live by myself well, is because I know what I've done, I know what I'm trying to do, and I am motivated to improve upon that. And it's nice when you outlift people that you know and things like that, like any normal person. But if I'm making progress, or if I feel like I'm doing things, moving in the right direction, if everyone else stopped lifting, I would still keep lifting. And I think for most people that are just average lifters like myself, you just have to find a goal that you want to achieve and just work towards doing it. You may never get there. You may just fall completely on your face, but like, what's the point of not trying? What's the point of being conservative with your body and training? Like, you only get one body. And people might say that in the sense that you should be treating it really conservatively and making sure that your knees don't hurt and blah, 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 blah. It's like, or you see what your body can do and you force your body to get better and stronger, and you try to get as much out of it as you can, because you only get one shot at it. And you kind of want to get the most out of it. But that's it for this video. I think I've ranted on for long enough. I try to keep all my videos under 10 minutes because if they're usually longer than this length, I end up rambling for far too long. But if you made it this far, I do appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Peace.